What's going on, guys? It's Pete Nova from the Face Off Sports Network. I am back with Week 15 defensive streamers to target to help you win that Week 1 of the fantasy football playoff matchup. Playoffs are here, guys. It's been a phenomenal year. Thank you so much for sticking by me. Just a recap last week, our second favorite streamer on the week was the New Orleans Saints. They finished second on the week in points scored. Now, that's pending Monday Night Football, which goes off tonight, but they were under 25% owned across fantasy formats. And that brings our streak to every single week. We've had somebody 25% or less inside the top 9 this entire season. And we've had 13 out of 14 weeks, somebody inside the top 7, all 25% owned or less. Obviously, we had some misses last week as well, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But let's just jump right into the first defense this week. It's going to be the Baltimore Ravens taking on the New York Giants. You know, the Baltimore Ravens coming off of a bye versus a rudderless ship in the New York Giants, led by Drew Lock. Total in this game is 43.5. It is an away team. We generally like to look at home teams when picking defenses, but the Ravens are favored by 14.5 points, and the total is 43.5. That is a huge number to be favored by, and a pretty low number to have in a game. They're expecting the Ravens to score a lot of points and practically not expecting the Giants to score much of any. The Giants in the last 3 weeks have given up 10 fantasy points to the Buccaneers. They've given up 17 fantasy points to the Dallas Cowboys and 10 points to the Saints. They're averaging 12.3 fantasy points per game given up to opposing defenses. And, I'm expecting the Ravens to kind of kill the time of possession here. They are running at the 5th highest rate in the entire NFL, and they're 12th in terms of total possession time this year. And the Giants right now are giving up 4 sacks per game in the last 3 weeks. They're averaging 12.6 points per game over this span. And offensively, I mean, if you look at them on this chart, EPA-wise, they're at the bottom of the league. In the last 3 weeks. And the reason I use the last 3 weeks is just because that is since Daniel Jones has been gone. And, they're 32nd in EPA. And it's more about the Giants being that bad than it is the Ravens defense being that good. But Ravens defense have a solid run defense, which is the only way I expect the Giants offense to play well in this matchup. And they are 9th in terms of total pressures, the Ravens defense, and the Giants are in the top 5 this year for total pressures allowed. So I really like this matchup coming off of a bye. I expect the Ravens to be prepared and ready to go. Moving on to the next matchup, it's going to be the Commanders taking on the New Orleans Saints. We get a low total here at 43 points. We do get an away team again, so we don't get that home team plus low total, but that's fine. Commanders are favored by 7.5, and this is pretty much a must-win game. They are coming off of a bye, so they are rested here. Hopefully, Marshawn Lattimore is back. I expect him to play his first game with them at this point since the trade. And, they are 1 game ahead of the Rams right now for that final wild card spot. They want to keep the pace here to make sure that they are still going to make the playoffs, as the Rams are kind of biting on their heels. Derek Carr likely ruled out. Likely is likely out. I don't expect him to play. No Taysom Hill, obviously. And the Commanders, from an EPA standpoint, they're 17th since week 10, but they're 10th in rush EPA, which is how I see the Saints moving the ball in this game. If they can, it's on the ground with Alvin Kamara and Kendre Miller. But the Commanders average 2.5 sacks per game with a turnover and low points. That makes them a really good play. I mean, if you figure even if we get 2 sacks, that's about 4 points. A turnover is another 2. That's 6. And then, low points scored in the game on the Saints side. It brings a pretty high floor here. So I really like this play. And then my last play. Look, guys, some of you watched the video. You've people that have stuck with me a long time. You know that I'm transparent. Cardinals were a pick of ours last week. I'm taking them again this week. Cardinals at Patriots. It's a medium point total here at 45. They're 6.5 point favorites, but they are at home. And, For what it's worth, the Cardinals had a tough game last week. We took them. Kyler Murray put the defense in a bad position to start the game in the first quarter. 2 turnovers on their side of the field, and it just spelled a disaster for them the rest of the game. This Cardinals defense has been really good though. When you take a look at the EPA, Cardinals are 10th in EPA since week 10. Pass EPA, they're 10th. Rush EPA, they're 21st. So that is going to be where the rubber meets the road here in this matchup, because the Patriots do have a good running back in Ramondre Stevenson, but Patriots are 20th in EPA since week 10, and they give up the third most pressures in the entire NFL. 3.3 sacks per game, 1.2 turnovers per game. If you just round down there, that's a total of 8 points just off sacks and turnovers alone that they're giving up per game. And then they're second in terms of yards per game in the entire NFL, which gives you a really nice floor as well, depending on your fantasy scoring format. So I'm going to ride with the Cardinals here. This is in order, though. Baltimore would be my number one pick, then the Commanders, and the Cardinals. I have gotten a lot of questions about the Falcons this week. The Falcons are an interesting play, but I really don't feel very confident in the Falcons at all. This is a team that's at the bottom of the NFL when it comes to sacks per game. And when we're looking at defenses, we generally want teams that are going to generate a lot of pressure, generate sacks, turnovers, and I just don't know how much I see it. I know they're playing against the Raiders, and the Raiders make a lot of teams look really good, especially on defense, but I'm still going to ride with these three over them. But I can understand somebody thinking that it's appealing against the Raiders, and I think they could provide a solid floor. But I prefer these defenses that generate more pressure and have a higher chance of getting sacks and turnovers in my opinion. But thank you so much for riding with us, guys. Week 1 of the playoffs is here. It's been an awesome year. You guys have showed out and been phenomenal. If you have any questions, drop them in the comment section below. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, like the video, and I'll see you guys next time.